Welcome, everybody. Hope you are having a great Friday. Welcome to Community Fit, and in particular, another Adjusting to Change Toolkit class course, the ACT program. I'm James. I'll be your host. I dropped it in the chat just a bit ago, but if you're just joining us, you may want to grab something to take notes with today. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start off kind of revisiting what we've done. This is week 3. So if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. We're going to catch you up on everything. And then we're going to continue the course class thing that we're doing here. And so first week we covered mindfulness. Last week we covered the toolkit, which is sort of a triage for stress, change-related stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and also the way we practice mindfulness. So we're going to cover a little bit of that. And then we're going to shift gears today into some thought work or some an invitation for you to discern what works well for you around the concept of rest. And we're going to get into why something like rest is important to change in general. So this is a I'm sorry, I'm just looking. Got it. I was just checking in with some comments. So this is an opportunity for you to grab whether you want to do it on a computer, a tablet, a piece of paper, a notepad, whatever it is. You may find it beneficial to do to take notes today. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to practice some of our toolkit, some of our nervous system regulation practices around the concept of mindfulness, because as you go through today, as you're talking about the concept of rest, especially the next 2 weeks, this week where we're talking about the concept of rest, and then next week where we're really talking about the concept of resourcing. Where do you find connection? Where do you find support? Being mindful specifically of how your body responds to your first answers, the answers that maybe you need to think a little bit deeper about, is going to be the way that determines, are your answers more or less in alignment with what your nervous system needs in order to feel rested, and next week in order to feel resourced, meaning connected, supported, in all of the ways we're going to talk about that next week. This week on rest, we're going to expand for a lot of you your definition of what we mean when we say rest, because rest does not equal sign sleep. Sleep is a very specific, very niche, very small portion of the concept of rest. And we're going to expand that definition so that you can feel more rested more often, which is something your nervous system needs. But before we get there, let's dive into mindfulness. Remember, mindfulness, as we know it, is the ability to just pay attention to, be aware of change in general, specifically context and variability. What is going on now versus what is going on at a different time, meaning how does my body feel? What do I notice there? What's going on around me? Who am I with? Who am I not with? What time of day is it? What is the context of what is happening? How is that affecting me right now, affecting you right now? And then how is that different at different times, at different stops on the roadmap, the journey of life, or in a change in general, right? So it's just an awareness factor of the fact that things change. How do we practice that? Well, you can do meditation, you can do thought work, you can do a lot of different things, but we're choosing for right now to practice it from an embodied perspective, because the body, your nervous system in particular, is going to be your first line of defense to knowing what's working for you, what's not working. Do I feel in any given moment treated like a big thumbs up in my amygdala, big thumbs up in my nervous system, or do I feel threatened like a big thumbs down in my nervous system, right? Simplifying it. Does my nervous system like it, or does my nervous system not like it, right? Pretty simple and surprisingly pretty accurate for the nervous system. So here's what we're going to do. The invitation is for you to just be still, quiet, and with yourself. Now, We've practiced already a couple of different focusing or mindfulness techniques around the body, right? You can pay attention to areas that feel good or not feel good. You can pay attention to your physical body, your cognitive body, your spiritual body, just meaning what is going on with your actual physical self, your thought process, or the vibe of the moment. But we're going to even simplify it a little bit more for today's practice, right? If you're going to pay attention to the body, you're going to sort of notice how are these toolkit practices affecting your body? What's working for you? There are a few things that you can kind of notice, more people can notice more often. Number one is going to be muscular tension, right? Do I feel tense or do I feel relaxed? So just noticing right now, in general, without judging it, do you feel tensed or do you feel relaxed? Noticing the heart rate. Does your heart rate currently feel like it's working a lot, or does it feel like it's resting, right? What is going on there, right? You can also notice it by like breathing. Am I holding my breath? Am I freely breathing? Are they shallow breaths? Are they long, relaxed breaths? So noticing it from like muscle tension, heart rate, specifically heart rate variability. Does it feel like it can get excited, can get relaxed? And then breath. Do I feel like I can take easy breaths or not? Do I have access to it or not? Now, we're going to just pick. Remember, if you think about the toolkit from last week, you have breath work, you have orientation or sensory foraging, we have therapeutic touch, we have movement, and then we have vocalizations or sounds. Now, for those of you who are like, I wasn't here, I have no idea what you're talking about, you're going to follow me. For anyone that was here, I invite you to pick 3 of the practices that you've been practicing this week, because I know you've been practicing. And if you've been with me longer, pick your favorite practices and just kind of notice, kind of ground yourself. Get yourself ready for some of the thought work we're going to do. If you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, James, you're going to follow me, right? And anyone else who just wants to follow me, go ahead. This is not about a follow me practice. Think about last week. I don't know your nervous system. I don't know what's going on with you. So likely you need something different than what I need. But if you're like, I just need somewhere to start, follow me along, give a few things a try and see what works for you. So I'm just going to notice my own self, right? I feel a little tense in my chest. I feel a little tense actually in my feet right now. Otherwise, I'm pretty relaxed. What I am noticing is like a tightness in my chest, a resistance to breathing. And I'm not really noticing a heart rate right now. Like I know my heart is beating, but I'm not noticing it. That's just what I'm going to notice. Then I'm going to choose, for me, a physiological sigh. That is a double inhale followed by a single long exaggerated exhale. Inhale, big. Inhale second is full inhalation. Couldn't get any more in if I tried. And slow exaggerated exhale. I'm going to demo 1, and together we're going to do 5. It's going to look and sound like this. 5 together. 4 more. Couple more. 1 more. That's our breath work category. Just notice, did anything change? You can notice it in your heart rate. You can notice it in your muscle tension. You can notice it in your breathing. I notice it a lot right now in like my cognitive body. I notice my thoughts have kind of slowed down in an enjoyable way. Just noticing what changed. I felt this way. I changed the context. I did an exercise, breath work. And then I noticed, did things change? Variability. Do I like the way it changed? That I didn't like the way things changed. Maybe I don't need to do that one. For our second one, and again, choose whichever bucket of categories or mindfulness, somatic practice works for you. I'm going to couple a couple of them, meaning I'm going to do two different practices at one time. I'm going to bring my hands together and get them warm, and then I'm going to place them on my chest. How do I know? Well, what did I say at the beginning of this? I'm having a hard time sensing my heart rate. I'm feeling tight chested. That's where I'm going to put the heat and the warmth and the touch. And then I'm going to do a little rocking. And I'm just going to try this on. Does my body like this? A little right and left. Now, yours might be different. You might need therapeutic touch somewhere else. You might need to jiggle. You might need to shake. You might need to get up and move. You might actually need to do orientation or sensory foraging, looking around the room, noticing what's in it. You might need to sigh, like audibly sigh or hum. What's going to work for you? You can also take a look at our YouTube channel, Western Health Advantage, and look at all the CommunityFIT classes. We have this class has been named a bunch of different things in a bunch of different formats before. Stress Toolkit, Community, Stress Reset, Reset and Restore. I mean, like we've called it a bunch of different things. It's been similar-ish work. And now we're just talking about it in a very, very, very specific way. But you can find these practices and more on our YouTube. And then just kind of notice what changed, what didn't. Immediately, I can notice this feels lighter, this feels softer. I'm just more aware of it. Now, for you, if you're like, oh, I'm feeling a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension and overwhelm, maybe this kind of work is exactly what you need today. And so maybe continue to do that and just listen to where we're going next. But where we're going next, and I'm actually going to share my screen for a bit. Make some adjustments here. Cool. Can everyone or can someone give me like a thumbs up emoji, a heart emoji, a something to let me know that you can see what should say types of rest on your screen right now? I'm assuming we've got it. We're going to go with yes. Okay. If not, Raymond, chime in, let me know. Okay, types of rest is what we're going to be talking about today. And if you're just joining us, and came in a little bit late, you may want something to take notes with. We're going to transition into some thought work here. Rest is a super important concept. There's a lot of different types of rest. So we're going to consider it how we have the toolkit buckets. We're going to consider the topic of rest as a bucket that can be filled with a lot of different kinds of rest, all of which are equally as important. And we're going to discover in the next 10, 15 minutes some ways that you can improve your ability to rest. Well, how do you know you need rest? Well, most of us just kind of know, but does your body feel tired, right? Does it feel here's a surprising thing. Sometimes when we feel tired, we actually get more anxious, more agitated, more heightened. And then other times it may feel like I couldn't get myself up and off of the couch if I tried, right? Like if you reach Friday and it's a Friday evening TGIF, all I can bring myself to do is order a pizza, crash on the couch, maybe wake up sometime Saturday, right? Likely you need some version of rest, but there's a lot of other types of rest and indicators that we're going to talk about. The first one is exactly what we just kind of spoke about, physical rest. And this is the kind of thing that we all intuitively know. Rest as you know it, that could be sleep, that could be lounging on a couch. It's just kind of refraining from more physical activity, right? Like I feel like I have done enough. And so physical rest is super, super important. Physical rest does not always equal sign sleep. In fact, some of the most beneficial physical rest you can do is what's called non-sleep deep rest. Non-sleep, and that's that second bullet point you see on there, NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. Well, what does that mean, right? We have all experienced it in one way or another. The easiest way is if you have ever practiced yoga and you've ever practiced something called shavasana or corpse pose. It's typically the last pose done in a yoga class. That is a variation of non-sleep deep rest. Yoga nidra in general, or resting yoga, is non-sleep deep rest. Now, a lot of people on here probably have never done yoga. No problem. Have you ever like closed your eyes and sort of drifted for a moment, right? Or daydreamed for a moment? That sort of thing. That's non-sleep deep rest. I didn't actually fall asleep, but my systems weren't all operational, right? Let's have a moment of experiencing non-sleep deep rest. The invitation is for you to sit back, lie on the floor, get comfy for a moment. And we're going to just play with this a little bit. The advocation is that you'll play with it more when you're off of here this weekend, sometime next week. Close your eyes and just begin to listen to the sound of your own breath. Take in an inhale and an exhale. You may want to focus on the feeling of support, allowing your body to sink deeper into whatever it is you're sitting in or lying on. Notice how the back of the chair supports your back, how your arms are supported, your legs. And could you, for just a moment, allow yourself to be supported more, to sink a little bit deeper into whatever it is you're laying on, whatever it is you're sitting on. And in front of you, with your eyes closed, you imagine a set of 10 steps leading downward to your most favorite place. And in your own imagination, feeling the support of the chair, bed, floor, you imagine yourself walking towards those 10 steps. And as you get a little closer, you feel your foot hit step number 10. You feel yourself sinking down into step number 9. Hearing step 8, 7, sinking deeper into 6 and 5. Surrendering just a little more into 4, 3, sinking to 2, exhaling into 1, feeling safe and secure. As you look around in your imagination, you see some of your most favorite places. Maybe imagining favorite people. Maybe it's just being in the support of your chair or your bed, sinking. Just resting. And for the sake of class, you notice a set of 5 steps in front of you, leading upwards, back to awakeness. And so you move to step 1, rise up to step 2, lifting into 3, 4, and 5. As you gently open your eyes, just kind of look around the room and reorient yourself to your space. That was a very brief experience with non-sleep deep rest. The concept being, how much more can I sink, relax, yield, let go, down regulating, softening my nervous system, and not fall asleep, right? Most of us are so used to going, doing, being, actively going, doing these routines, moving, But the moment we are still, the moment we are quiet physically, our body just goes, well, if I'm not doing, it must be a sleep time. Or I can't go to sleep because I'm so used to doing, but this softening, this yielding, this relaxing is so foreign to me. I don't know what to do, right? So either we're the kind of people that like fall asleep in the middle of a commercial, or we lay in bed perseverating for hours and hours and hours. It's essentially non-sleep deep rest is a moment to rest the nervous system, which has a lot of benefits, but it's also training on how to sleep better because my body understands, oh, I can be up, I can be down, or I can be asleep. So physical rest, lots and lots of opportunities there, but that's not the only type of rest. Maybe for you, just note, do I need some more experience? Do I need to practice non-sleep deep rest? And if so, Google it. Do some yoga, do some meditation. Be with a down-regulated nervous system that's not asleep, right? The next category is going to be mental rest. This is disconnecting from cognitive demands. What this looks like in practice is daydreaming. What this looks like in practice is play, right? Play is not necessarily uh, puzzles and games and whatever. Play, the concept of play, is something that I can do for hours on end and kind of get lost in doing it. It's something that I'm in a flow state. I'm just enjoying it, right? I can almost go on autopilot to do the thing. So mental rest is, how would you know you need it? Well, I feel like I have to do a lot of work. There's a lot of tasks. I'm making a lot of choices at work, and then I gotta go home, and now I'm doing the thises and the that's, and I'm helping with the homework, and I'm deciding what's for dinner and making all the choices. That's a lot of cognitive load. And so allowing yourself to daydream, almost taking your brain off of the leash, super beneficial, and or investing more in play or the concept of getting lost in enjoyment, right? Mental rest. Do you need more mental rest? And if so, maybe take some notes. What might that look like for you? Is it mixed with non-sleep deep rest? Do I allow myself to just lie? When was the last time you allowed yourself on a Saturday afternoon the opportunity to close the bedroom door, lie on your bed, and daydream the way you did when you were like 12, right? That is an actual practice I have started to implement again, is lying on the bed and just allowing my brain to daydream while I kind of close my eyes and rest there. It's something that so many of us did young in life, and then we just sort of lose that practice. And that is a very important nervous system restoration thing that will help you through any big change. It is scientifically proven that we actually make, how many of you make your best decisions when you're, or have really great ideas when you're in the shower, on a walk or on a run, driving in a car, right? What that is it's like a soft, subtle attention, right? Like I'm paying attention to washing my hair, I'm paying attention to walking, I'm paying attention to driving, but I'm not concentrating on the thing. Taking that mental rest or our ability to just let our brain wander, we actually come up with some of our best ideas. So what sounds like distracting or moving away or not doing is one of the best ways to allow our subconscious intelligence to do the thing for us. So mental rest. Sensory rest is a personal favorite. This is resting from bright lights, loud noises going on around you, computers, and screen time, phones, tablets, the other. We are greatly affected by light in the house, light in the office, specifically at nighttime, right? Blue lights at nighttime disrupt circadian rhythms. Having the house too dark in the morning and not enough blue light coming in disrupts our circadian rhythms. Having flickering, flashing lights, fluorescent lights, disrupts things for us. Being in front of computer screens. When I teach the physiological side, what do I say happens? Well, we sigh, we do a sighing thing every 3 to 5 minutes, whether we are awake or asleep. The one time we don't do it is when we're looking at tiny screens, specifically phone screens. So resting away from things that are neurologically distracting or neurologically disruptive. What does that look like? Well, going outside more often, using candlelight more often, setting a timer of I've been doing 30 minutes of screen time, an hour of screen time, 3 hours of screen time. I have to move away. I have to just look outside. Maybe it's an orientation. Maybe I just gaze at the beautiful photo or painting in the house. I go outside and go for a little walk. I just close my eyes for a moment, right? It's disrupting that constant input from noise, light, action going on around us. The next category is creative rest. Everything we've talked about so far is really about kind of taking something away. Creative rest is one of the things that we actually add in. We put something in to rest, right? We don't get in our common everyday life enough wonder, awe, inspiration. Creative rest is actually about intaking more art, more music, more literature, more natural beauty. Creative rest could be going to the Grand Canyon and going, my goodness. It could be going to the redwoods. It could be going to the ocean. It could be going to an art gallery. It could be going to a concert or a play. It could be a dance recital. It could be whatever it is that sparks your heart, your nervous system, yourself to go, oh my goodness, right? So thinking about creative rest, maybe write down to yourself, what are some things that bring awe and wonder to you? Is it art? If so, what kind of art? Is it music? Is it painting? Is it an art museum? Is it doing art? Right? Maybe it's outdoors. And if so, get real specific. When you say it's the outdoors, what is the wonder and awe? Is it a vast, open, beautiful desert or a vast, open, beautiful ocean? Is it the mountains? Is it redwood trees or cypress trees? Like, what is the thing? And what is the plan to get more of that more regularly in order for your nervous system to experience awe and wonder more often? Because with change, right, comes a lot of like heavy inputs. I've got to do this and I've got to make sure that this happens and whatever. And that rest of going, oh, I'm out of the mundanity of every day and I'm getting inputs of awe and wonder, really helpful. Emotional rest, an interesting one. This is resting and or honoring the emotions, and it can look a couple of different ways. Emotional rest. This person causes me distress. This person causes me to be angry. This person causes me to be upset. I move myself away from that person. I put up boundaries around that person. That is a version of emotional rest. I don't participate. I don't go to this place as much. Or if I do have to go to this place more often, I'm prepared. Ready for, I'm prepared for that. I have my toolkit. I have my mindfulness. Or emotional rest can look like I'm honoring my feelings. When someone asks me, how am I don't go, I'm fine. If someone asks me, how am I say, well, I'm feeling stressed about X, Y, and Z. I engage in a conversation. I share it, right? It's about getting it off of my chest and or keeping myself out of areas that are just too emotionally charged for me. So maybe for your own self, write down if this is resonating for you. What are some areas that I could improve my emotional rest? And is it about honoring, sharing, being more vulnerable with what I'm feeling? And or is it about avoiding people, places, things in order to feel recharged and refreshed? Social rest is just that, right? It is okay to have some solitude, right? Social rest is not about being lonely, right? Social rest, loneliness is like solitude with despair. Social rest is about I have to do too much peopling and I need to remove myself for a while, right? Introverts know this explicitly. It is also good for extroverts to remove themselves every once in a while to create space to do things like sensory rest, non-sleep deep rest, all of those things. So when and where can I get some social rest? And do I need it? Might be a good question for you. It can be a microdose of it. I just go in the bathroom when I lock the doors for X amount of time. I go for a drive for X amount of time. Go on vacation by myself. I send the family on vacation and I stay home, whatever that might look like. The last one that we're going to talk about is resting your spirit, or what we might call spiritual resting, which has nothing to do with religion. The concept of spirituality means that I am connected to something bigger than me. That could be a God, right? That could be something that falls in religion category. It could also be I am connected to my neighborhood. I'm connected to my community. I am a patriot and connected to my country. I'm connected to the world. I'm connected to these people. Resting your spirit is about spending more time feeling connected, right? That could be prayer. That could be meditation. That could be a reading book group. That could be a walking group. That could be golf buddies, hunting buddies. It could look a lot of different ways. How do I feel loved? How do I feel appreciated? How do I feel connected? And does your nervous system need that? So I'll leave this up for a bit and just think to yourself, what one or two buckets of rest could you do more of and would be more beneficial for you? I will end with that. I'm going to stop sharing and we can go with any questions you might have. Got it. We cannot hear your breathing. Yep, it's just 2 inhales, single long exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale, right? You do not have to match mine. It can be as big, it can be as small as works for you. How to prevent actually falling asleep during NSDR? You practice it more and more and more, right? It's how long, and right, maybe you set like I'm going to practice it for 30 seconds and then a minute and then 2 minutes, and eventually it's a 10-minute practice or however long that might be for you. What else? Let's see. What other questions? We've got very glad. Thank you so much. I get cranky when I get tired. Same. Mental rest can equal sitting outside looking at the sky. Exactly. This is amazing. Thank you so much. I took extensive notes. Thank you. Yeah, let's one more. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your thoughts. Oh, thank you. I'll share it one more time if you want to write any of this down or do a quick screen grab. Taking a look at all of that. And thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you see you next week for midweek desk stretch on Wednesday afternoons. And then remember, next week we have all about resourcing. It's support and connection, and how do we find that. It's going to be a lot to do with like the people-y side of connection, but we're also going to talk about some other ways that we can find some support, because one thing we did not talk on here enough about or at all about is cellular rest. We've already kind of done some cellular rest, but we're going to talk about cellular rest from the lens of resourcing next week. So with that, thank you so much. I'm glad you attended today too. I'm out of here, everyone. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Bye.